r/ask Reddit. What conspiracy theory do you completely believe is true? I'm in the Navy and we change uniforms a lot compared to other branches. There's a conspiracy theory that there's a rear admiral whose wife has stocks in the company that makes our uniform. I just randomly heard someone talking about it. I have zero evidence that it's true, but I 100% believe it. Yeah, the Navy seems to change their uniforms way too much. OP is likely right. The military is the human centipede of nepotism spending. If private companies want to make any money off the military, you better hire influential ex-military. I worked for one of these companies. We supplied software for Navy aircraft systems. They spent millions for this software. The company that was providing the software was run by an ex-high-ranking Navy man, Puppet Seer. The software was the exact same they already had and owned intellectual rights to, an older version. By the time this IT-run company provided the Navy with this new copied version of the software, the tech stack was already so outdated and the original software vendor had better versions. I was told it was over 100 million spent. This for something they already had. College Board isn't non-profit. Every high school student just sighed in understanding. Teachers too. I used to start my AP Psych class, do you want to pass a test or learn some sweet crap about your brain? Once I knew the two kids who cared about the test, the class was super fun, and I just gave extra test prep to the kids who wanted it. Usually had a handful pass and none of the bullet teaching to a test. Man, frick College Board. All my homies hate College Board. Shelly Miscavige is either dead or being held prisoner by the Church of Scientology. Aren't they the only two options available for her? Witness protection, I guess? I like that there is the possibility of a positive reason she's missing. Just read the wiki article on her, very interesting. Not only did the cops outlie her for filing the missing persons case, but they also stated that they talked to her in person and closed the case as not missing. Like, isn't it questionable at all that someone hasn't been in public since 2007 and someone files a missing persons case and the Church of Scientology calls up and is like, nope, she's not missing here, she is okay, leave us now, she needs to go back inside, and then the cops are just like, okay, yep, she's fine. Well, the likelihood of the cops being in their pockets aside, this is the trickiest part of dismantling cults in general. They cover it in the Scientology documentary HBO did. People are documented as being held in these compounds and absolutely tortured. But the fact is that even if the cops raided them while they were being tortured, the people themselves would say that they are adults, they're of their own free will. J. Edgar Hoover had ties to the mob and gave preferential treatment to certain crime families organizations while crushing others. Also, his stranglehold on American intelligence made him a figure presidents feared. My understanding was that, specifically, the mob had photos of him and his boyfriend doing, you know, boyfriend stuff. Which is a pretty intense threat when you're the no queers or commies guy. They had a habit of staying at a mob-owned hotel together. Awful compromising position to put yourself in if you're the surveillance czar, and a hell of a coincidence at that. Not to mention that his best friend, Clyde Tolson, was Hoover's beneficiary in his will, moved into Hoover's house after he died, and is buried in the same row at the Congressional Cemetery in Washington, D.C. He retired from the FBI 3 days after Hoover died and accepted the flag at his funeral. They vacationed together, took all their meals together, socialized together. I don't know that the mob had anything on him, but if Hoover and Tolson weren't lovers, then it must have been one hell of a relationship. Oh my god, bestie goals. I too dream of one day having a best friend so tight that the mob will use them to blackmail me. The Big Mac has gotten smaller so McDonald's saves some money. I dunno, but I swear the Big Mac used to be bigger. Or maybe I am just fatter. This is a pretty common business tactic, and there's been a hell of a lot of research into it. Companies know consumers are happier paying the same amount for a, often unnoticeable, reduced portion rather than seeing a price increase for the same item. It's called shrinkflation. Not a specific theory, but I have no doubt that the majority of leaks for the entertainment industry, video games, movies, TV, etc., are completely purposeful and meant to gauge general opinions before official announcements. They're called trial balloons and they absolutely exist. They exist in politics. They exist in products. They exist in every industry with any amount of money. In law enforcement too. Sometimes investigators leak particular facts to the press in order to see how certain individuals respond to it. This is one of those that just makes so much sense, yet somehow it's never occurred to me until now. Maybe not Tupac, but at least one celebrity has faked their death and is still out there. If it's anyone, it's Andy Kaufman. This is the smallest conspiracy ever, but you know how when you pull a tissue out of a box, there's this dust that comes out from the tissue when it scrapes the perforated edge? I swear it's designed like that so that the dust makes you sneeze. And then suddenly you need more tissues. Rise up against big tissue. Finally someone said something about this. There's too much dust in general on tissues. It all gets freaking stuck in my nose and I'm back where I started. Switch to napkins, bro. I've heard similar that chapstick doesn't let your lips replace their moisture, so you have to keep applying and end up buying more. A lot of entertainment companies are money laundering fronts. Don't even get me started on Entertainment 720, Prestige Worldwide 2, a Huff and Dobek production, Boats and Hose. The Department of Transportation bought way too many orange barrels, so most of them have to be stored on highways. You deserve an upvote. I literally travel past miles of barrels on a daily basis and rarely see anyone working. I saw a really informative response about this the other day. I wish I could even remember what sub it was in. But the part that stuck with me was they said they'll put the barrels out once to avoid moving them on and off the road repeatedly, and that in the early phases of construction a lot of the work is surveying etc and then waiting for approvals or whatever. So somebody is out there for an hour or two infrequently during a week or month. But the time and cost, labor to move the barrels back and forth doesn't make it worth it for brief trips. Automobile and oil companies have been working to impede or hide developments in renewable energy solutions. There is actually a lot of evidence for this. I was a climate activist before seeing it, but the Years of Living Dangerously documentary series pretty well confirmed to me that big oil, gas, and coal companies are standing in the way of renewable energy solutions. That the CIA let JFK get assassinated. Wait, I actually am curious about this one. Look up the podcast Death is Just Around the Corner, specifically their JFK series. It's quite long, 5 parts each at around 90 minutes. But it's incredibly informative. The narrator is quick to point out what is speculation, what there is factual evidence for, and what comes from the official narrative. The gist of it is that JFK kept on working against the CIA in multiple ways, like de-escalating the Cold War as well as trying to put the CIA under the control of the executive branch, and was made an example of. Lee Harvey Oswald was almost certainly a CIA asset, unrelated to JFK, but Manson was also almost certainly a CIA asset. Some good investigative journalism just came out on this within the last year actually, and if you look into the official record of some of the stuff the CIA was doing, MKUltra, giving black neighborhoods syphilis to see what would happen, Iran-Contra, etc., and consider the fact that nobody that oversaw those crimes was ever punished anything more than administratively, it seems pretty naive to me that they would have stopped doing that kind of thing. I mean, there are people instrumental in the Iran-Contra affair that are in the Trump administration right now, lol. A time traveler has traveled back in time to the year 1963. However, he does not know the exact date. He sees a CIA agent nearby and asks him, "Is today before or after the JF?" Before. Isn't this the plot of the Umbrella Academy S2? The government constantly reposts this question to see what we know. No, we don't do that at all. I got a pretty harmless one. Stevie Wonder can see. The world's elites are in on it, which almost got blown open when George W. Bush waved at him. Didn't Shaq say he ran into him in an elevator once and Stevie Wonder said, "Hey, Shaq," before Shaq said anything? I've heard that story too. I think it was Anthony Anderson that said he's not blind, and he said on a late night show, invite him and put something on the ground for him to trip on and the motherfricker will step over it. I know I'm butchering it, but it's funny and interesting. I can't remember what it's called, but that's a real type of blindness. Basically, the eyes are mostly normal and work just fine, but the connection between the brain and the eyes is broken. The subconscious will know there's something there, but the person will never actually see it. I've seen Stevie Wonder take his glasses off before, and his eyes do not appear normal to me, so I don't think this is that type of blindness. I've heard it called blind sight. Basically the part of the brain that actually creates an image for the conscious mind is broken, but all the subconscious parts of sight still work like avoiding obstacles. Congrats, you've made it to the end. You're a beast. Like and subscribe for more r/ask Reddit content. It's free, so why not just do it?